The fictional town of Castle Rock, Maine is likely familiar to fans of the author Stephen King's work. But if you're watching the psychological horror series on Hulu by the same name, it might be familiar for another reason. Much of it was filmed in Orange, Massachusetts. How did they select Orange? Adrienne Bedaw, the town's film liaison, and Mark Wright, North Quabbin Chamber of Commerce executive director, dished on the details.
I serve as a regional community leader in the position of being the head of the Chamber of Commerce, and I have a background in the entertainment industry, so I know just some of the not only positive benefits that can come from it, but just how much fun it is.
It's just also so exciting to think like, oh, they're going to be shooting an ongoing series in this region. We've had films come in and out, and we know what that's like, but a series is, I think, a different thing because they're there so much longer. Adrienne, for you, you worked with Alex Burrard, who is kind of who was the scout, the guy who kind of pointed out Orange. Yes. What was that like for you working with him? Probably, I imagine, day to day.
People loved Alex, and we joked that he was the mayor of Orange. He just knew all the players. He was able to calm people down if people were frustrated. And
did he say at any point like what it was about Orange? And we'll talk about the other areas in the region they shot in, but what about Orange stood out that he thought, oh, this would be the great spot for this spooky fictional Maine town?
He just, he grew up in the area, so he went through Orange as a child, is the story, and so he convinced the producers, let me show you one more location. And the story goes that as soon as they entered Orange, they just knew it looked like Castle Rock, Maine, which is what they were going for. So
yeah, and I've been watching this series. I am spoiler alert, I'm a fan. I think it's really creepy and fun and interesting. And I won't divulge spoilers so that everyone can enjoy the series on Hulu as they're taking it. But what was it like? You know, Orange is a place of about 7,600 people. What's it like when the cast and crew of hundreds show up?
They did a really good job of, I mean, it's at the base, it's a business, and they've certainly been doing this for a very long time. Yeah. And they did a really good job integrating the disturbances and inconveniences that the crew was going to do. I can tell you that I, from time to time, might stop at, we have a brewery in Orange. I might stop there occasionally. And
just the water.
Yeah. Absolutely. And when crew members would come in there, it was fun, not just because they were in there and they were part of the production, but also I recognized a few. One of the owners of the brewery was also in the business for a while, so he would recognize folks from years behind.
You try and spill little plot points out of them.
No, they. I mean, I didn't want to. Then
yeah.
They're not going to tell. Most of the time, they don't know. They don't really know that. This production, especially, and you would hear this from the head of the Mass Film Office, Lisa Strada, as well, was very much kept secretive and under wraps. There was not a lot of detail, which I think is great. I think it's the best way to do it, but it was very, very well guarded.
Were there any people in town who were frustrated because now you have these hundreds of people taking on this teeny tiny town?
There were. I mean, it was kind of humorous for people to complain about the traffic in Orange, which has, you know, how many stoplights?
Two.
Right. So it was slightly humorous at times, people calling about the traffic or parking issues.
So how do you meet those concerns? Because you want everyone to be happy, I imagine.
Oh, definitely, because we definitely want Castle Rock to come back and be welcomed by the town, and those are the exceptions. I mean, most people were excited and very accommodating, and I'll move my car wherever you need me to move it, you know, happy to help. And then Alex, like I said, would come in and just calm everybody down, take them on a little tour, show them some of the locations, kind of get them involved.
Speaking of locations, let's mention a few. Again, they're not spoilers, but they're places that you'll see if you even just watch the trailer. There's a church in town that's featured prominently. There's a Victorian home that's featured prominently, and there's a space that's transformed to become a bar, which has a mural still on it, right?
Yes, they left it. Some of us neither of you sitting here might be of a certain age that remembers the big murals of Schlitz across the side of walls, and they left that there.
Yeah, and it's on this great brick wall. It's weathered. It looks like it's been there for, 50, 60 years pushing that.
Movie magic.
Yes, movie magic, exactly. But also, getting outside of Orange, they used a sound studio in Devens, and then a bunch of other, like 16 other area communities,
There were
right?
18 towns total, one of which was Devens and the New England studios, which is a godsend to have in the state. And they were there. Locally, we had Athol and Royalston. There were locations there. Then there's also Lancaster, Tingsboro, Billerica, Boston, Chelsea.
So it's fun, while you're watching this Castle Rock, Maine series, there are points that people who live in this region can point to and say, I know that's downtown or that's somewhere else, which is, I think, a really fun thing. But there's dollars and cents behind this, too. And I know you don't want to talk to specifics, but Alex actually told WBUR in Boston that location fees alone, $750,000. Massachusetts, we know, has a 25% film incentive. But what about just kind of general economic bump that the community saw from this?
It's like Mark said, running into the crew at the local brewery or the different restaurants, even though they had, of course, awesome catering. I'm sure that they could utilize, but they did go into the town and spend their own money like they would if they were anywhere else, and it was just fun to see them around.
What about potential ongoing economic benefits? Have you seen fans coming to town yet?
So, as I said, I was in the business for quite some time, and that's kind of what we look for after, the sort of that secondary economic impact. There was certainly substantially more than the number of just from locations department in the direct economic impact. The secondary will be when the fanboys and fangirls start showing up, and we're excited about that. I think you know that Castle Rock is the first TV series shot in the state of Massachusetts in, I think it's approaching 30 years. The last one was Spencer for Hire.
So it's been a few years.
Oh yeah, and the town where Spencer for Hire was filmed still gets several thousand people every year that come to see where Spencer for Hire was shot, and that was a very long time ago. So we're happy for that. I mean, I would imagine that the production people don't want too many people to show up because then they kind of get in the way. But I think that it will have an appreciable impact on the community, both in Orange and the surrounding towns, once the full series is out and people want to come see where it happens.
Because right now they're releasing one episode a week to sort of keep us all on our the edge of our seats. We haven't heard anything about season 2, or have we? Can we make a little announcement here?
No. I mean,
they know. We've been told they would like to come back.
Mm-hmm.
So certainly
Orange,
the door is
if
open.
there is a season 2, but
Right.
yeah, and there's been a lot of talk. I know that the series has had a lot of talk in the professional circles. People are very excited about it. I mean, it's Stephen King, and that's always a good sell. And it seems from background talk that there's something in the works, but there's nothing official. And I don't think we'll officially know until somebody actually shows up in town and says, oh, by the way,